This episode of Steve's Outdoor Adventures is sponsored by Pendleton Ammunition. Hunting ammunition for your rifle, hand-loaded, one round at a time.
Welcome to this week's episode of Steve's Outdoor Adventures. Most of you know that we have a long history of booking our clients on some of the most outstanding elk hunts found anywhere in the western United States. But the most overlooked place to hunt for elk is in northern British Columbia, where there are incredible elk populations and a very long and open elk season for rifle hunters that includes the entire month of September. This is when the bulls are in the peak of the rut and the songs of September are ringing through the woods. And this week, Travis Price is traveling north to hunt with one of our outfitters because it's his turn to experience the incredible hunting found in northern British Columbia.
As Travis gets ready to head for British Columbia, he hit the range to check the zero on his rifle just one more time. This week, Travis is hunting with the Bergara Premier Series MG Light Rifle. And in the Adventure Armory, we swapped the Burris Eliminator 5 laser scope for the Burris Veracity PH scope. The 4 to 20 times magnification range on the Burris Veracity PH allows for a better low-end field of view for the likely short-range shooting distances in the heavy cover where Travis will be hunting. But it also provides the high 20 times magnification range and digital clickless turret for any long-range shots that he might be presented with. And this rifle is chambered in the extremely capable 300 Winchester Magnum caliber, and he is shooting custom, hand-loaded Pendleton ammunition. The 180 grain Barnes TTS bullets exit the muzzle at 2,950 feet per second and generate over 3,500 foot-pounds of energy, ideal for hunting the big-bodied bulls of British Columbia.
So as you can see, we're in the bullseye at 100 yards. I'm super happy with that. And on this hunt, the vegetation and the terrain really lends itself to close shots, most likely, under 100 yards, maybe even under 50 yards. That's the right rifle and scope combination, the right ammo, and it's shooting spot on. I'm ready to go.
We packed up and hit the road. We got word that 2 of our clients were successful last week at the same outfit we were headed to.
I'm in my home province. I grew up in British Columbia, grew up hunting elk and other species. My dad introduced me at an early age to hunting here. My dad was also an outfitter. And so to be able to come back to my home province, chase elk, be in these beautiful mountains, in this awesome country and province is a very special moment for me. Once we got to the northern part of the province, all of a sudden we start seeing black bears, sows and cubs and boars. I think I saw 6 or 7 bears on the way up here. Once I got to the hunt location, I ended up meeting up with the outfitter, one of our partners, Justin, and followed him into what's called the main camp. Once I arrived at the lodge, I met my guide, Brandon. During dinner, my excitement heightened when Justin and Brandon had made the plan to take me to a more remote and adventurous camp that hasn't been hunted by an outfitter in somewhere between 12 to 15 years. What that means for me is if we can find the elk through calling, sign, there's not any pressure in there. No public pressure, no outfitter pressure. And when it's been that long, I knew we're in for a treat. We're about loaded up. We've got the ATVs, groceries, all our gear. We're leaving this main camp. We're gonna drive up to a spike camp where we're gonna spend the next few days chasing elk. So we're about ready to hit it. We came to this area here where there's a creek and it's been washed out, so we're gonna have to build a bridge to get the ATVs over so we can continue on. So time out, make sure it's safe, make sure we can get everything into camp.
The further we pushed into the bush, the more my anticipation grew. The more memories of my childhood of hunting with my dad appeared. I knew in that moment we were in for an adventure.
As soon as we arrived, there was a young bear, probably a 2-year-old cub, in the tree right above the cabin. And initially, it was really cool to see that, but we had to keep our wits to us because mom or the sow could be very close by. We just want to make sure we were careful. We've got this wall tent set up. It's going to be very comfortable. There's the outfitter cabin right here. We're up on this ridge. It's an awesome location. We're going to go ahead and kind of chill for a little bit, let it cool down, and in about an hour, Brandon and I are going to head out, go check a camera, go check one of his favorite spots, and see if we can run into some elk.
Steve's Outdoor Adventures is sponsored by Bergara Rifles, featuring the new Pure Carbon barrels and a sub-MOA guarantee. Steve's Outdoor Adventures is sponsored by Burris Optics and the new Burris Veracity PH Rifle Scope.
It's about that time of evening. It's definitely cooled down. Seems like the sun has gone down behind the mountain and it is still, and it's been warm today, so we're gonna go down to a lick area and do a little calling and see if we can't dig up a bull. That evening, Brandon and I decided to kind of stay close to camp. It was pretty windy. Conditions were not ideal. So we walked a little ways out of camp to go check a wallow, and I had a camera on it. So we spent a little time hunting that evening. There's tracks here. It looks fairly fresh. It looks like it could be a bull too. Heading this way. Brandon led me down to this wallow here. There's definitely activity. You can see a lot of sign, but it kind of looks like a moose has taken over, and so the elk may not want to be here. Hang out here for a little bit. Yeah, we can do that. I'll just kind of hang right here, 20 yards or something, just chilling. Yeah, just something good. They travel on these trails like crazy. Yeah. Mimicking them is the best thing some days. Yeah.
With conditions still being less than ideal, we planted ourselves on the trail and Brandon continued calling. We didn't want to stir up too much in case any elk in the area could spook. We opted to head back for the night and hit it in the morning. After the northern lights faded, we awoke to ash from a distant forest fire falling like snow. The smoke rolling in created a warmer, overcast morning. With these conditions, we suspected elk may be closer to water sources.
For the first morning of the hunt, Brandon wanted to take me to a specific area, but really what he wanted to do was to establish, looking for sign, maybe find where the elk are. Again, conditions weren't quite ideal, wind was kind of swirly, but we went ahead and went in anyways.
We're gonna be knocking on their bedroom door here. Just a little knock this morning just because the wind's pretty bad, so we don't want to spook anything out. Take our time going in today. Try again tomorrow a little harder with calmer weather. There's beaver ponds and stuff everywhere here, and that's the only water I can find anywhere here.
Yeah.
So
Gonna have to be close. Came to the next meadow here, and there's definitely some sign and some openings, which presents a good shot. So there's another opening just ahead of us. We're gonna kind of keep hopscotching and calling and maybe hang out for a bit, see if we can get an answer. But it's definitely a good place to hang out.
There was some older sign, but nothing in the 2 to 4 day mark that we could see. But it's really good to kind of get the cobwebs out, go check it out, but we didn't end up getting an answer on any elk. It was kind of getting later morning. So what we ended up doing is just kind of hanging out in that area, and then we decided to back out and leave that area for another day when conditions were more ideal, and decided to make a plan for the next day.
Steve's Outdoor Adventures is sponsored by North Fork Bullets. Accuracy and terminal performance in the ultimate hunt. Steve's Outdoor Adventures is sponsored by the Far Wide app, putting outdoor intelligence in the palm of your hand.
Waking up to the temperature slightly dropping and drizzling rain, conditions seem to be the best they've been since we arrived. Time to get locked and loaded and hit it hard.
So we made a plan to go back where we were the previous morning, but to go deeper in, go further, check it out even more, and see if we can find some elk.
This is as far as we're gonna go on the quad, so we're gonna park here, grab our gear, walk in, and basically we're starting hunting right now. It's the perfect time of day. The wind has definitely died down, so at least we can hear, they can hear us. High hopes for this morning. We're gonna give it all we have, so here we go.
The further we got into that area, we found some meadows that were linked by very, very thick brush, but it's very thick country, and it opens up into all these little meadows. We came to this specific meadow where Brandon started calling, and immediately we heard a bull bugle less than 200 yards away. At that moment, the hair stood up on the back of my neck and it was on.
Antlers are beautiful. 60 yards away or so. It's craziness right now. Brandon's back there calling.
And Brandon has a very specific technique. He's paying attention to the wind, he's talking to that bull, and he's pulling them into range where I can get a shot. And he did an excellent job at that.
What a beautiful bull. He's a 5x5. I could never been a 6 point. Dude, it was over. Yeah. It was a layup. Oh man, that was cool.
Once I knew he was within 100 yards or less, the bull showed himself, came right across into the meadow, stopped broadside at 45, 50 yards. It was a perfect opportunity.
Got the heart rolling for sure. That's how it can happen so fast. We're just walking through this meadow. Brandon Cal called. He was a little bit in front of me. All of a sudden, bugle is 100 yards away of that. So Brandon got set up. 5 minutes later, he's broadside at 45 yards, came in screaming. It couldn't have been any more perfect.
But all in all, it was a great trial run to work with Brandon and his calling, to understand that there's elk in the area because we had seen sign, and that was a satellite bull, and just kept positive that I knew I'd find the right one.
Although that was the most ideal setup for a shot, I'm holding out for a 6-point bull. And with how this morning has started, I have faith that we'll bring in what we are searching for. We opted to go deeper into the bush to see if we can locate any more bulls. Brandon had a hunch that an even bigger bull was just around the corner.
It kind of sounded like the bull was doing his own thing, kind of maybe going away from us a little bit, so trying to cut the distance and get him engaged so we can get set up somewhere and try and get a shot, but he's not
After a few more hours of hunting that morning, it was getting later on and we hadn't heard anything, hadn't seen any more fresh sign. So Brandon and I decided to rest for a little bit and grab something to eat. And all of a sudden, one of our camera guys, Willie, and Brandon started talking and trying to figure out if they heard a bugle, maybe not. I was woken up by Brandon actually bugling and immediately got an answer back. It was just, the moment just was on us and we had to move quickly.
This segment is sponsored by Adventure Armory. Rifle, scope, and ammunition packages shipped, ready to shoot. Steve's Outdoor Adventures is sponsored by Pendleton Ammunition and their line of hand-loaded Performance TSS turkey loads. If you would like to book this hunt or any other hunting or fishing adventure, give our office a call. We will gladly take your calls, answer your questions, and help you book the adventure of a lifetime.
All of a sudden, Brandon heard a bugle, so we're up and at him again. So we're gonna head up here. The wind's right. Just take our time. See if we can get him to engage. See if we can get another opportunity. I might get set up right here. There's a meadow just into those trees a little ways. It's gonna be a tight opportunity if it arises, but.
I felt really confident in the shot. I was stable, it was close, I knew I hit him hard.
Nice.
But in that moment, I didn't really know where the elk was because obviously it's so thick. It didn't take long, 30 yards from where I thought he was when I pulled the trigger, I found him expired.
Oh man, this has been a long time coming. Northern BC is a special place for anybody, but especially for me. I grew up in this province. Be able to come up here again and put my hands on this bull elk. It's an amazing experience, amazing opportunity. Can't thank Brandon enough, Justin and his team, and of course Steve West for allowing me to come up here.
When I went up to him and had his rack in my hands, and it was just a moment that I'll never forget because since I was a little kid, I've always wanted to harvest a British Columbia 6-point bull because there's family history there. I started hunting as a kid in British Columbia. It's kind of a homecoming for me. And that moment, it was so special that I will never forget.
The most important thing that I learned about the last couple scenarios this morning is how when we're set up and we're getting an answer, you are behind us or to the side or whatever, playing them, pulling them into us directly, right? So if they start to skirt this way, you head the other way, so then they come back in front.
Yeah, they like wind.
Yeah,
play with it.
Exactly, but you're guiding them into us. Yeah. You did that perfectly both times, so good work. I had a shot opportunity before, the one I took that was better, but it was just so brief. And I was trying to count times, and then he turned, and he gave me another opportunity, and boom. Nice.
Not only was this a very special moment for me personally, I shared that special moment with Brandon. He'd put a lot of work into this area. He's got family history there with his family's trap line. And so this was his first opportunity to harvest an elk over a number of years there as well. And we shared that bond or that special moment together, which you can't put a value on. Now the work begins. We need to break down this animal, get it loaded up, and get it packed to camp. Again, the guide cohesiveness and the teamwork of this operation showed itself. Brandon was able to get a message out to Robert and David, who immediately dropped everything that they were doing to come help pack out the meat. And we had a short pack back to the ATVs where we could get that meat back to camp and in the coolers. When I go on these hunts that we offer to our clients, I want to make sure I spend the time to find the key components that make good operations. Justin and his crew were really cohesive. They were a team. They worked well together. The accommodations were very comfortable, both camps that I was in. And I got this sense of family and family involvement together as well, which I really appreciated. Not only Brandon and his partner and their little baby were involved in camp, Robert, his 2 little boys, and his wife. All of these components were starting to add up to me that this is definitely a place that I want to make sure we send clients on elk hunts, moose hunts, mountain goat, and even black bear hunts.
What an amazing adventure and hunt in northern British Columbia this has been.
Well, as you can see, northern British Columbia has an incredible elk hunting opportunity, and the Songs of September call to us year after year. It's a hunt that we highly recommend for all of our clients, and it's something that I hope all of you can enjoy someday. In fact, if this is a hunt that you'd like to book for yourself or any other big game hunting or fishing adventure, give our office a call. We're always available to take your calls, answer your questions, and help you book the hunting or fishing adventure of a lifetime. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for this week's show. But please remember to join us again next week when we bring you another exciting episode of Steve's Outdoor Adventures.
If you enjoyed this episode, please click like and subscribe to see more of Steve's Outdoor Adventures right here on YouTube.